Pues nada. Pues nada, chicos. 45 segundos. ¡Vamos!
10 segundos, chicos.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
No va a empezar ya del tirón, ¿eh?
Healers, DPS, tanks,
¡Ojo! ¡Ojo!
innkeepers, Zerg, Terran, Protoss, Blackwatch, Shimada, the heroes of
¡Ojo!
Sanctuary,
¡Ojo, qué
and
guapo!
of the storm.
Ya, es que tengo la piel de gallina,
The World of
¿eh?
Warcraft. Hearthstone is getting back to its roots in a major way.
Va a
We
hablar
can't
un
wait
poquito
to
de
show
todo
you
ahora
how.
mismo, ¿eh?
In the Diablo Immortal
Cuidado.
Technical Alpha.
A ver qué nos dice del
Personally,
over,
I
¿eh?
really enjoy the Overwatch League. Will be kicking things off in spring, and we'll be watching closely to see if the San Francisco Shock can continue
No ha dicho
their
Overwatch, ¿eh?
championship.
No ha dicho Overwatch.
World of Warcraft esports is back with the
Ojo.
Arena World Championship and Mythic Dungeon International already in full swing in Shadowlands. Warcraft 3 esports are going
No ha dicho
strong
Overwatch,
with
¿eh?
our friends at the ESL
No ha dicho
Pro
Overwatch.
Tour.
Cuidado, cuidado con F Overwatch, ¿eh?
But-
Cuidado. Nostalgia.
Cariño, espero no molestarte, pero te has dado cuenta, ¿no?
Ah, sí, lo he dicho, de hecho.
Literalmente, o sea, estoy esperando y digo, guau, y dicen, no sé qué Overwatch League, y yo, ¿cómo? Y han saltado los esports directamente. O
Nos
sea,
hemos quedado todos igual, literalmente.
me he
ha
quedado
habido
con una cara.
Una lista de F en el chat, porque es que.
Te lo
literal-
prometo. A ver, esto es o muy malo o muy bueno, es lo que digo. Ahora ya medio no nos van a dejar solo.
Ya.
O muy malo, porque literalmente nos han matado ya a los 10 minutos de la BlizzCon. O muy bueno, porque literalmente no se quieren mojar nada hasta que llegue el momento para hypearnos al máximo.
Ya, yo estoy igual, ¿eh? Yo estoy igual.
Bueno, pues eso.
Esto es la ceremonia de apertura. Ceremonia de apertura hablan de todos los juegos. El tráiler de Overwatch 2 se presentó en la ceremonia de inauguración de 2019, ¿vale? En plan, todo lo que sea novedad se presenta en la ceremonia inaugural, que es lo que estamos viendo ahora mismo. El problema es que no saquen nada de Overwatch ahora en la ceremonia inaugural. Ese es el problema, porque significa que no vamos a tener ninguna novedad hasta Overwatch 2. Vale, sí, ok, tío, ya tendrás tu apartado donde hablarás de Diablo. Por favor, ¿puedes hablar de Overwatch ya?
A few moments later.
Just like the real world, the worlds of Warcraft,
F.
Diablo,
Una fe en el chat, chicos.
and the honor of all of us at Blizzard
No te creo,
to be
tío.
the caretaker
No te creo.
of the worlds.
Pues nada, chicos, nada. Overwatch 1, dead. O sea, dead, pero dead total. Dead total y absolutamente. No tenemos nada, no tenemos nada.
Welcome everybody to BlizzCon. We know that you all want to hear more about Overwatch 2.
Y del 1.
Allow us to invite you behind the scenes to explain more of what we're doing and why.
Everybody, please hit record. Fingers crossed. We lost Scott.
It's off to a good start.
This is going great.
We've been assembling one of the best teams that I have ever worked with.
I'm nervous.
And I'm so proud of the progress that we have made together.
We really liked the stylized drop down.
Imagine that it's coming forward, boom, boom, this starts to spin.
The scale and the scope of this game have meant that we've needed to grow substantially.
We have to. Sorry. Let me start over. Overall, I think we've done incredibly well as a team moving to work from home.
Oh, shadow play. There have definitely been challenges, but the team is really putting everything we've got behind this game.
To me, it's the next big step in the Overwatch universe. New heroes, game modes, major story beats.
With competitive and PvE, I see Overwatch 2 as the Overwatch for all of my friends.
You know, we're always inspired by what story and franchise development does with the animated shorts. We really wanted to bring that cinematic experience into the game.
You can invest in your heroes and grow them over time. I'm super geeked out about Overwatch 2.
I can't wait for people to play this game. It just gets better and better.
There are some things that we just can't do without a sequel. So thank you so much for your patience so far, and I hope you enjoy this behind-the-scenes look at Overwatch 2.
Por Roma, ¿eh? Qué guapo.
We always
Qué
want
guapo.
Overwatch to feel like this globe-trotting adventure for our players. So we're having a lot of fun coming up with the Overwatch version of Rome.
We wanted a very romantic, sort of this powerful feeling of old world architecture. One of the most exciting things for me is the early building of these maps, where we get to sit down together with key people from the environment team, level designers, effects groups. We'll spend some time talking about moments in the game that we really want to see, like the Colosseum or a grand view of the hills of Rome in the backdrop. And then we'll go back and do a paint over, or we'll do a concept painting of certain things based on that.
We try to draw inspiration from as many different sources as possible. For example, one of our environment artists had just taken a trip to Rome, and he returned with thousands of pictures and was so excited to work on a map set in Italy.
There's a lot of ancient architecture in Rome that represents the empire that it used to be. So we brought some of that back. Some of the things that are destroyed in real life, we kind of rebuilt
Es que
in a
mirad
kind of
qué
Overwatch
guapo,
style.
tío.
It's one of the most beautiful pieces of environment art that I think we've made for the entire game, and it just absolutely took my breath away.
Es precioso.
We're really striving to make it as authentic as possible while still putting this Overwatch spin on it.
There's a lot of amazing buildings and architecture pieces that just, especially for artists, stands out a lot. And they usually use this kind of Art Deco style from the 1920s, 1950s.
We started in an area that's a little bit like the village. There's some smaller shops there. There's a fire station, little pizza places, and things that people that are familiar with New York City will either recognize or maybe see the reference that we're trying to make with some of our different locations. It feels like something you haven't seen in other games before because it's uniquely Overwatch.
Wow,
well, we should move on.
We're also experimenting with the idea we call role passives, which are passive abilities that a hero can have based on what role they are. For example, currently in our internal builds, the tank heroes all have knockback reduction against them, and they also generate less ultimate charge for enemies that are shooting at them. Damage dealing heroes have a movement speed bonus, which is great for flanking around the map. And healing heroes, support heroes have automatic healing that kicks in after they haven't taken damage for a while, very similar to Mercy's passive, but a little bit of a lower rate.
One of the more shocking changes that we've been exploring in Overwatch 2 PvP is a change to the tank role entirely. That's applied to all of the tanks. We want to try to make them more toe-to-toe brawlers and less characters that just stand back and protect other people.
So, for example, for Reinhardt, we've given him 2 charges of fire strikes, so he can throw fire strikes a lot more aggressively and more often. Also, his charge, he's able to cancel it now, and you can steer it more aggressively, so you can not quite turn a corner, but you can definitely more accurately pin targets. And because you can cancel it, it allows you to use it much more aggressively and really go after those key targets without feeling like you're going to sacrifice all of your positioning, everything to get there. He's almost more terrifying now with us, be able to unleash his full arsenal more often than kind of just being the guy with a shield.
The changes to Reinhardt that we're trying, and they might not ship, that's just the reality, but the changes that we're trying right now are to try to embrace more of that instinct that players have when they want to play a big burly character that looks aggressive and feels like it should be aggressive.
Claro, claro, claro.
Shortly after BlizzCon.
Hostia, mira su Yun,
When we first started working on Overwatch, we spent quite a bit of time working on gunfire sounds and just general combat feel to make it feel really awesome. We're revisiting pretty much everything. Nothing's off the table, so we're looking at even kind of small things such as quick melee attacks that every hero has. So they have kind of new audio pass and a new kind of feel and visual effect when you hit things.
One of the bigger efforts we're undertaking for Overwatch 2 is what we're calling our Weapon 2.0 Sound Pass. What this is a big overhaul to the weapon systems in the game. That means the way the gun feels in your hands. You could feel the ammo running out as you're getting lower on the clip. We've really tried to amplify those sounds to better encapsulate the gameplay and the gunplay that comes with Overwatch 2.
Está guapo.
Another key for the weapons was getting them to feel like they're in the environment. This meant working with convolution reverb. It's a new system that we've implemented into Overwatch. It's a way that we can capture the acoustics of an environment and transport it onto the sounds that we're using. So we went and captured tales of guns in different environments through our weapon shoots.
Eso solamente lo pueden hacer estadounidenses, tío. Eso nosotros aquí en España no podemos hacer esto. O sea, literalmente.
And then we've cut them and applied it so that we can support a lot more environments. Now we're supporting outdoor, urban outdoor,
Hostia, qué guapo.
warehouse tales, tight tunnels, small
Guau,
rooms.
qué guay, qué guay.
And it gives a lot more
Se ve muy
presence
bonito el
to the
juego, no sé
weapons
si lo
and
habéis
the way that
visto.
they react
Se ve
in
muy
the world.
bonito,
The shooter genre
Esa
has
es la ruta
evolved
y se
a
ve
lot
muy
since
bonito.
Overwatch 1 came out. On top of that, I think we really want to push the visceral nature of how we do combat. So we focused a lot, not just on the wonderful sound effects, but also with how the gun moves as you shoot. You know, so you can really feel every single shot leaving the chamber. And there's a lot of subtle little tweaks we have to do on the gameplay engineering side to make that feel really visceral. Everything from making sure that the camera shakes are crisp, making sure that if you get shot, you know exactly these tight indicators show up on the outside of your reticle. All these things play into making the game feel not just tight and responsive, but also modern and up to date. Take 76, for example. What we wanted to do in Overwatch 2 with his weapon was make it really feel incredibly powerful, and that happens with a bunch of different elements that mix together. But it really feels like the gun is almost just outside of your control. A lot of that comes down to this camera shake technology, where every time you fire the weapon, you want to feel like it's running through your entire body, and the camera shake gives that extra bite to every single shot out of the chamber. It makes him feel really great.
You guys got a sneak peek of Sojourn from last BlizzCon. She's been under development for quite a while, and she's actually quickly at this point become a lot of people's favorites in-house. When we look back at Overwatch when it was originally created, there was a lot of heroes that were made from a gameplay standpoint kind of surrounding a weapon type. For example, Pharah was based on a rocket launcher hero. Widowmaker is clearly like kind of the sniper. We thought there was a weapon that was kind of missing that would be a lot of fun to play with, and that's a railgun. It's so much fun in the playtest to have this really powerful shot that can, you know, rip through enemies if you really are accurate with it.
Ojo, cuidado.
One of the things that we showed last year at BlizzCon was the new looks for our heroes. The theory kind of going in was like, you want to preserve the essence of your hero, but also kind of show that that hero's evolved and kind of changed and moved forward. So we have a lot more new looks. So I'm excited to see how players and fans react to all of the ones that we've done so far.
Maybe we'll share some of those new looks today.
Venga,
We're going to reveal McCree's new look for Overwatch 2 as well as Pharah. And we're really excited to show off some of our first villains with Reaper and Widowmaker. But first I wanted to talk a little bit about technical wear, kind of like technical clothing. What that really is using, you know, very techie fabrics, as well as, you know, having very intricate but functional straps designed in a way that it's very aesthetically pleasing. With McCree, we took a couple of different approaches. He's got this classic cowboy look that it's really hard to mess with, because if you try to make him too sophisticated or too techie, it might not feel right for the character. But as a concept artist, you always want to change things around and try different shapes and silhouettes. So we did identify as Red Serape as the main thing for McCree. We also tried a couple different things with McCree's cowboy hat. We didn't really want to mess with that too much, because that's a very iconic part of him. So that's another piece that we kept. We tried some retro cowboy looks that mixed in some tech here and there. Some that were a little bit more techy than others, some that were a little bit more classic cowboy. We gave him a little bit of a longer beard, and it really gives him a nice kind of like a more aged look. What's different about Pharah than some of our other heroes is Pharah's completely covered in armor. We didn't want to change her silhouette too much. It was more about experimenting on different colors. So it felt really appropriate for her to be the one to harken back to those original Overwatch colors of white and blue. One of the things that we wanted to update on Pharah was her visor. Instead of being completely opaque and reflective, we tried a little bit more of a transparent approach, and being able to see through it a little bit now allows us to see some more of her emotions. Reaper was actually the ones I was very excited to work on, because I could see a lot of potential in how we can integrate his cloak and his cowl and his armor, and how we can make all those shapes really sing within that classic Reaper silhouette. We tried a couple takes with the first pass, like completely silver arms, more layers to his jacket. Reaper's mask is obviously pretty sacred to us. But the thing you'll notice immediately is that it's now completely silver. Instead of the bone white, he's got this like almost like deadly edgy silver that just gives him that classic Reaper look. With
Mola.
Widowmaker, we started with the idea stage, exploring a breadth of ideas. We tried things like a more insectoid approach, treasure hunter. One of them made her feel like a classic Bond villain, so we kind of steered it back towards one of the more cyberpunk-looking ones, almost like a futuristic femme fatale, which is basically what Widowmaker is, but she even feels more upgraded. So I'm super glad that we went down this route. We played with different hairstyles too. Widowmaker has the really long ponytail that's really key part of her look. And we really liked the hairstyle on one of the designs that was more frayed, and it was really interesting look that also preserves Widowmaker's original silhouette with that long ponytail.
We've been working a lot with our domino engine and making our cloth look better. Now that we have this cloth tech, we're going to be able to make some really cool, unique silhouettes that will help them stand out from other heroes.
¿Para qué quiere la armadura de
We
teta,
put a
tío?
lot of time and effort into our face rig, and what I mean by that is we're going to be able to get really close to these characters, and it's going to feel really cool. It is absolutely worth the time and effort to invest in the technology, and that way we can make these characters do more things that we haven't really been able to do before.
It's been super exciting working on the new looks for Overwatch 2, and it's just been so inspiring to watch the team try things that we've never tried before, and I just can't wait to show up more in the future.
Sí, tío, pero enséñame nuevos héroes, ¿no? ¿Qué pasa?
Probably the largest opportunity we've had since the inception of the franchise to really expand what Overwatch even means to our players. In 0 Hour, we saw that some of the heroes got back together, but we're also seeing that there seems to be a second huge Omnic uprising. We're gonna learn who's behind that uprising, why that's happening, how globally spread is it.
The story and franchise development group, they were really the torchbearers of what the big story is that we were going to tell for this game.
We have a lot of interaction with them. They're working on in-game cinematic intros and outros for every one of our story missions.
It's been really great to see this collaboration grow and develop. The story is just a little more integrated into our missions than it ever really has been before. All the available heroes get dialogue for a given mission. We have NPCs. We have multiple hero choices.
We have all sorts of events that are happening that are driving players to interact with each other or parts of the environment or other characters.
The world of Overwatch is this bright, shiny future. So how do you take that bright, shiny future and create conflict in it? How dark can the world of Overwatch go?
The different challenges that these characters are going to have to overcome in Overwatch 2 are things that they haven't ever dealt with before or dealt with on this scale. So what we had to do was literally strip it down to this bare bones of where are these characters in their lives. Overwatch has been expanded, and now there's a situation where the world's in trouble again, and the world needs the heroes again, but they're not allowed to be doing what they were supposed to be doing.
We started to book these off-site locations so we could brainstorm over and over different versions of what the Overwatch 2 story campaign could be.
And we basically had these whiteboards that we were carting around everywhere.
The room was filled with whiteboards, and we would just write every day story beats with the characters and who was doing what and where, and oh my gosh, we forgot this character.
We had these giant sticky notes, and each one of them would be a mission with a bunch of notes on it. You know, somebody say, well, what if we moved Rio to the end, and they'd physically grab it off the wall and stick it on the end.
And we did this for a while, you know, until we all felt that it was pretty close to what we wanted.
Then we could send it to our writers' rooms. The writers' rooms then had a much clearer direction of where we wanted this process to go.
Ultimately, we come up with something that we think is right for the game, and then we pitch it back to the game team, and they point out everything that we missed.
And that allows us to actually back up and go and make it right and make it better.
Because the scale of this story is so huge, it takes place over the whole world, basically. It just requires a constant iteration, constant refinement to make the story as best as we can make it.
From writing, we go to storyboards. The storyboards get crafted with the edit. From there, it'll go to a previs department where they'll start to flesh it out in 3D. Once we've kind of figured out our camera work and our cinematography, that'll then go to the animation department. And then we end up going right into the game engine.
Tenía todo de pie, ¿eh? Tenía todo de pie, ¿lo habéis visto?
One of our challenges was to figure out how to integrate this story and this narrative with the gameplay.
So if the intro cinematic ends with this huge battle, this huge war, when you get into the game, it has to mesh and feel the exact same way and blend together.
We really are also trying to get the music to be equally as consistent from in-game cinematics straight through to the mission. Adam Burgess, our lead composer, has been working with the IGC team, with the game team, developing themes for all of the heroes, all of the locations.
As the cinematic director, whatever we're crafting should never override the gameplay. We want to make sure that the player's experience going from the cinematic to the gameplay is seamless and it feels like a completely immersive experience.
The engineers, we have to find a way to actually make that come to fruition. The choreo tool is a tool that allows people to coordinate different events to happen at the same time. Like in Rio, if you played our demo, one of the buildings explodes. And so that kind of event needs to happen as you're running by, and you need to have it timed, because if it blows up too early, then you don't see it. It allows story moments in missions that interact with the environment, that interact with our characters.
The new tech, the new abilities that we have now are allowing us to push our storytelling farther than we could have previously.
What's also really powerful about choreo is that, you know, if somebody has an idea, they can mock things up really quickly.
We gotta show the Widowmaker making this awesome introduction. And Casey was able to quickly put a really rough prototype in choreo. And Philip would come in and on the fly, he's making quick changes. They play tested something that would normally take weeks. It was done in like a matter of days.
Each story mission has its own custom
Qué
map
guapo,
built for
El
it.
mapa
And
es
these maps
precioso.
are absolutely gigantic.
Eso que he dicho antes, tío, me da la sensación de que son
It's a fun map
gigantes.
because it has a few story beats that we've taken from recent comics and characters in the game.
We've written a history for each city so that the cities feel lived in. And I think that informs the artists so that they know like what it is that the city has been through.
Gothenburg was our chance to show Torbjorn's workshop. We created a space that kind of fits his height. So there's, you know, step ladders and scalable tables. We designed the space as if we were Torbjorn. Molten steel is pouring out of walls. It's pretty epic when you walk into it. Toronto was under siege by Null Sector when the players arrived here. There's a dynamic snowstorm. So as you make your way through the level, the snow is slowly building up. Suddenly by the end, the characters are caught in this gigantic snowstorm and they must fight their way through.
In Overwatch 2, we want to give you choice to be able to play this character or that character. So we're designing a lot of systems around how their relationships develop over the course of the story missions in the campaign.
We have a cast of many characters, all on screen, all at the same time. And it's fantastic to actually see them all interacting and working together in ways that we've never actually seen. We've always thought about it and hoped for it, but now it's actually happening.
It actually requires us to have a whole new branching dialogue system. If you happen to have Genji and Mercy in the second mission of the game, you might get different dialogue that's about their relationship.
Our voice actors bring the characters to life in ways that everybody has fallen in love with, from inside Blizzard to the fans. Just to hear this collection of actors all together, all interacting, has been a real treat.
Hammer down!
I wish people could see how many people are involved when it comes to something like telling the story of Overwatch. It doesn't just come from a singular person, it comes from a group. And it's a really talented, fun group that all works together.
We've been developing what we hope is one of the best stories ever. There's some key story moments that I'm really excited about, and I really can't wait to see how people react to it.
Conclusion.
We've been talking about the game, about this universe. I know you all love it so much.
Right now, we can sit down and have a night of Overwatch 2 and have it be a really fun experience. And I think we need some more time till we can say it's perfectly polished in the way that we want it.
We've made such incredible strides since we first announced this and showed it to the community at BlizzCon in 2019.
The thing that I'm most excited about is that moment when we hand the game over to the players.
We want to create something that really moves people, really touches people.
That's why we do it. We create the game because we want it to become part of your life and for you to experience it.
For Overwatch 2, we're upping the bar.
It's kind of 5 games in one. It's a huge undertaking.
the new tech and the new aesthetics for the new looks bring you closer to the characters that you love, and we're just getting started.
The fidelity of the gameplay experience is much richer.
We are making cinematics that push the boundary of what we can do to tell stories.
We want this dynamic world. We want things to feel alive.
I'm really looking forward to being able to expand the world of Overwatch for our players.
We're really trying to tell this epic story.
In order to make a game great, it takes time, energy, collaboration.
We have just an incredibly professional team of designers and artists and engineers.
We just love bringing this world to you guys. So many cool characters. It's just a blast working on it.
Our goal is for Overwatch 2 to be the worthy successor to the first game, to be the next evolution, and to be a true sequel.
We have big plans, so thank you for sticking with us.
We're gonna cross the finish line, and I know it's gonna be awesome.
I hope people just end up loving playing it over and over.
That's what we want to try and capture. I'm jumping in, I'm playing, let's go be heroes.
F. Y de nuevo, no tenemos nada. Again. F. Tío, es que yo no sé cómo se las apañan para... O sea, literalmente lo que he dicho al principio. Solamente quiero que Jack Kaplan me explique qué va a pasar con Overwatch 1 y que o al menos me dé una fecha o algo. No me ha dado nada. Literalmente no me ha dado nada. Una F muy mayúscula. Una F muy mayúscula.